put down a microfiber cloth to protect the car while I'm working on it. Shown here is a 10mm socket that I'm going to use to take off one of these bolts that's going to be holding up the fuel filter. Using a mechanic's pick tool, I'm going to lift up the lever shown on the connection here, and that will allow me to disconnect it easily. Once that's disconnected, I move it to the side, and that will allow me better access to the fuel lines. The fuel lines are held in place by squeeze clamps. I'm going to insert my tool here, and that will allow me to pry it open. Then I'm going to move the clamps further down the tubing. This is just so that when I disconnect the tubes that I don't lose them in the engine bay. Here I'm using a trim removal tool to make my life easier disconnecting the hose. With one hand I'm pulling on the hose and the other I'm pushing. You might find that you have better grip with mechanic's gloves instead of using nitrile gloves. I further loosen and remove the bolt that's holding up the arm which is supporting the filter. Now all that's left to do is disconnect the bleeding tube by removing the little clip. Here's a close-up of the clip. It's very small and can ping off very easily, so do be careful when you're removing it. It tends to get worn out over time, so you may have to replace this. Here's what you might observe if you have a worn out clip. Installing the new filter is the reverse of taking off the old filter. Here's that little clip again. Make sure you have it in the correct orientation. It should click into place. Make sure the fuel filter is also in the correct orientation. This makes it easier when reattaching the tubes. The tubes might be slightly slippery because of diesel, so again I'm using my trim removal tool so I can gently slide along the clip back into its rightful place. This is a specialized pliers. I really recommend them as you need a lot of force to shut the clamps again. Now I'm going to retighten that bolt so that my fuel filter stays in place. And then I reconnect my plug. I'm going to turn my key to the third position, and this will automatically bleed the system of any air that might be trapped. Here is a look at what's happening inside the engine bay as I'm turning that key. As you can see, I have the bleeding tube opened up into a bottle. Of course, I'm not going to let any fuel go to waste. With the bleeding tube closed, I now turn the key again, another 20 times. This just makes sure that there's no leaks in the system at any connection points. Here I am checking the rags to make sure that there's no leaks. A common area to leak is between the fuel filter and the bleeding tube. The car should start if there's no air in the fuel system.